What are we and where are we and why are we all here? How did it all begin and what makes the whole world spin? We'll find out what it's about, all doubts will disappear. In the wonderful world of horrible science, the road to all the answers is a long way to go. Oh, the more we know, the more we find, the more there is to know. So with microscopes and telescopes we'll hope to make it clear. In the wonderful world of horrible science.
Welcome to the Horrible Science Horribly Huge online show. This is the online version of the Horrible Science show, introduced by me, the online version of Nick Arnold. That's right, I'm not the real Nick Arnold. The real Nick Arnold is hidden away in his top secret horrible science laboratory trying out horrible experiments. Anyway, a warm virtual welcome to the Horrible Science Horribly Huge online show. In today's online show, I'm going to be bringing the Horrible Science books to loathsome life in front of your very computer screen. Now, Horrible Science has scary stories, queasy quizzes and extreme experiments. So I'll be reading you a scary story and I'll be trying some extreme experiments with the help of my pet rabbit and, get this, with my pet velociraptor dinosaur. What's more, I'll be showing you how to try the experiments for yourself at home. So let's get started. In our first extreme experiment, I'm going to show you how to make a horrible hole in your hand without needing hospital treatment. All you need is a tube like this one, and if you don't have a tube, it's easy to roll up a piece of paper. So you put the tube in your left hand like this and put your right eye to the tube, and what do you see? Oh, yuck! I can see a horrible hole in my hand. In fact, I can even see you through the horrible hole in my hand. Now, if you're left-handed, you'll probably need to use your right hand and put the tube to your left eye. So what's making this horrible hole in your hand? Well, it's all to do with your brain. Now, it so happens I found a leftover brain in my horrible science laboratory, and here it is. Don't worry, it's not real. Now, your brain has two halves. The left half detects what your right eye sees, and the right half detects what your left eye sees. Your brain combines the two pictures. So, when one eye sees a hole and the other eye sees your hand, your brain shows you a picture of a horrible hole in your hand. Ooh. Now, I bet you didn't believe that bit about me having a pet velociraptor. Well, I don't blame you. I mean, after all, the dinosaurs did die out 66 million years ago. But that was before I brought one back in a horrible science experiment. And now, he's my pet velociraptor, and his name is Mr. Cuddles. Sadly, the experiment did go a bit wrong, and Mr. Cuddles lost all his feathers. Better not mention that. He's a bit touchy, you know. Anyway, in this experiment, I'm going to show you how to feed your pet velociraptor without getting your fingers bitten off. Now, it's a bit dangerous to use the real Mr. Cuddles, so I'm going to use this disgusting scrap of meat and this model dinosaur skull to show you what to do. Now, velociraptors ripped the flesh from the bones of their victims. But they didn't have cheeks like we do. So, sometimes the meat came out the sides of their mouths. Ugh. Also, they didn't have chewing teeth like us. So, they had to swallow the meat whole and tip the meat back with their heads and swallow like a bird. Now, there's one other thing. Dinosaurs never brushed their teeth. Well, that's probably because dinosaurs never invented the toothbrush. And some meat probably got stuck between the dinosaurs' teeth. Meat rotted. And scientists think that dinosaurs like T-Rex had really bad breath. Ugh! I think velociraptors did too. And now to meet Mr. Cuddles the velociraptor. But where is he? Mr. Cuddles? Mr. Cuddles? Mr. Cuddles! Leave that cat alone! Ladies, gentlemen and children, please can I have a big round of applause for Mr. Cuddles? Now this story is adapted from The Horrible Science of Everything. I've rewritten the story so it's about a velociraptor on the day that the dinosaurs died out, which is a bit odd because the velociraptors died out about 5 million years before the rest of the dinosaurs. But anyway, here's the story. And it starts with a very scary thought. 99.9% of all species that have ever lived are extinct. That means they've died out. They're dead. They're deceased. They've snuffed it. It doesn't mean they stink, although they might stink when they die out. Anyway, 66 million years ago, it was the dinosaurs' turn to go extinct. And scientists think a giant lump of space rock called an asteroid whacked the Earth. It was several kilometers across, and it crashed to Earth at several thousand kilometers an hour. Here's how a young velociraptor might have remembered the disaster in a letter to his mum. Did anyone spot the deliberate mistake? Dinosaurs never wrote letters. I mean, everyone knows that they used mobile phones in those days. Anyway, to make the story more exciting, I'm going to reenact the disaster using Mr. Cuddles here and this potato to represent the asteroid. So, let's go back together 66 million years ago. 66 million years ago, North America. Dear Mum, what a terrible day I've just had. There was me and my pack of bloodthirsty velociraptors ripping the flesh off a dead dinosaur when suddenly a light streaked across the sky. Brighter than the sun it was. 1 second later and we was hit by a blast super hot with a force of 7 billion atom bombs. The sky went black and we was blown off our feet. No sooner had we got up when we was bashed on the head with burning rocks. Luckily, it just bounced off me head. I guess my teacher was wrong. Sometimes helps to be a bit of a thickhead. Anyway, that was this morning. Well, now it's raining acid and Mum, umbrellas haven't been invented yet. And the weather forecast says it's going to be cold for the next 10,000 years And there'll be lots of choking poison gas from volcanoes. Now, Mum, call me a stupid lizard, but something tells me that things aren't looking too good for us dinosaurs. I mean, there's nothing to eat, there's nothing to drink, and I've got less brain than a squirrel. Is this the end of the... Ah! The end. Thank you very much. Welcome to the second half of our show. In this part of the show, my helper is going to be the White Rabbit, Mr. Fluffy. He's the star of the book, The Horrible Science of Everything. So, children, ladies and gentlemen, may I have a big round of applause for the one and only Mr. Fluffy. Mr. Fluffy, all I need you to do is just stand here and just relax. What's that? You want an extra carrot? Oh, all right then. There you go. There you go. There. Now, on this pile of books is a card, and attached to the card is a string. Under this cloth, on the card, is a hippopotamus. And when I pull the string, the hippopotamus starts to move. Where is it going? It's going towards the edge of the book. What happens when it reaches the edge? Well, it's going to fall down. Where's it going to fall? That's right. It's going to fall on Mr. Fluffy's head and squash him flat. Just stay where you are, Mr. Fluffy. Try not to panic. Now let's take a moment to think about this. Mr. Fluffy wants to know how we can get the hippopotamus off the card. I don't really know, Mr. Fluffy. You see, it's a bit too heavy to lift, and hippos are very grumpy animals, and it might bite me if I tried to move it. What do you think? How can we get the hippo off the card and save Mr. Fluffy? What's that? You think I ought to pull the card really hard using the string and... No, that's crazy. I mean, if I did that, the hippo would fly. It would be the world's first flying hippo. Well, that does sound a bit crazy and fun. Why don't we try it? Yeah, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, look at that! The hippo stayed where it was. Mr. Fluffy is saved. But how did this experiment work? Well, when I pulled the card gently, a rubbing force called friction kept the hippo on the card. But when I pulled the string harder, well, the strength of the pull overcame the force of friction and the card came away. But why did the hippo stay where it is? Well, the reason is because hippos have a quality called inertia. Every object with matter has inertia, and the more matter an object has, the more inertia it has. Well, hippos have a lot of matter, so a lot of inertia. So the hippo stayed where it was. Fluffy was saved. Now, you might like to try this experiment at home, in which case it's best to use shiny card. Just make a hole in the card, tie a string to it. You can use any object with weight instead of a hippo, but for obvious reasons, you shouldn't use anything breakable. Our next experiment is from Really Rotten Experiments. In this experiment, Mr. Fluffy has volunteered to have a bottle of water tipped on his head. Oh, yes, you have. You signed a contract, Mr. Fluffy. Oh, all right. I'll give you another carrot as well. Oh dear. Well, I have here a plastic bottle, and before the show I made 10 holes in it, filled it with water. Now if you'd like to try this experiment at home, ask your mum to make the holes, and it helps to use a strong plastic bottle with a screw lid. Now, all I'm going to do in this experiment is I'm going to take the water out of the glass and, of course, hold it over Mr. Fluffy. The water's going to go all over him and have a good laugh. Ready, Mr. Fluffy? Oh, stop complaining. It'd be no worse than being caught in the rain. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, nothing's happening. Oh, I know what I've got to do. I forgot to loosen the top. Let's do it now. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that. It's raining on Mr. Fluffy. That's funny. When I tighten the top, it stops. When I loosen the top, it starts. Tighten, loosen. Now, the reason why this experiment works is because of what water is made out of. Water is made out of 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen atoms and make a water molecule. Trillions of water molecules are drawn together by a force we call surface tension. Now, that makes water too thick to go through the little holes in the bottle. So we give it a helping hand from the air. Air has a pressing force called air pressure. And this force is very strong. I bet you never knew that the force of the air pressing on your head and shoulders right now is equal to 1 ton. So that's about the weight of a small car. The only reason you don't say, "Oh, I've got a car on my head right now," is because you're used to it. It's always there. So the force of the air pressure helps the water out through the holes and over Mr. Fluffy. Well, thank you very much for helping me, Mr. Fluffy. And can I have a big round of applause for the one and only Mr. Fluffy? Sadly, we've just about run out of time for our show. I've still just about got time for a quick poem inspired by the book Horrible Science, Nasty Nature. Now, there's a bit in the book about tigers. I think tigers are amazing creatures. In fact, I'm lucky enough to own my own pet tiger. Her name is Mrs. Tiggles. And she's here now. Mrs. Tiggles? Mrs. Tiggles? Oh, hello, Mrs. Tiggles. Oh, get off me. Honestly. Well, hands up, any one of you who'd like to own your very own pet tiger. Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? Just imagine taking it to school. You can walk into school with your tiger on a piece of string saying, "Here's my tiger! Here's my tiger!" And all your friends are going to go, "Caw, can I stroke it?" No, it's not a good idea at all. It will scare your other pets, it will scare your family, and if it gets really hungry, it might just scare you. So I've written this poem to put you off owning a tiger, and it's called Igor's Tiger Trouble. Now it's an interactive poem, so when it gets to the bit all the kids began to squeal, you need to scream loudly at your computer twice, because I don't want to be the only person on the internet screaming at that point. So, are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Igor's Tiger Trouble. A silly boy named Igor tried to care for his pet tiger, but he forgot to feed the beast, so Tiger found itself a feast. First it chewed the family cat, then it ate Igor's pet rat. Would have eaten Igor too, but he was hiding in the loo. He had to stay there half a day until the tiger went away to Igor's school to find a meal, and all the kids began to squeal. Ah! Ah! Tiger chased the science master, who ran fast, but Tiger ran faster. Tiger got a taste of education. Igor faced an accusation. The silly boy was sent to jail, so I must end this sorry tale with some advice you won't regret. Don't keep a tiger as a pet. Thank you very much. Happy horrible science, everyone. See you soon.
What are we and where are we and why are we all here? How did it all begin and what makes the whole world spin? We'll find out what it's about, all doubts will disappear. In the wonderful world of horrible science, the road to all the answers is a long way to go. Oh, the more we know, the more we find, the more there is to know. So with microscopes and telescopes we'll hope to make it clear. In the wonderful world of horrible science.